Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Cassie and this is That Grim Reader. I'm in the new house, I did it, look! There's actually books behind me. Not just ones I plan to unhaul, it's amazing. This is the only part of the house that looks at all. Everything else is chaos, but you know, I can hide in my little corner and pretend things are alright. It's good. Anyway, today's video we are going to be talking about my most surprising books of 2023. So these aren't necessarily the ones that I loved the most, that list will be coming soon, but these are books that I went into with low expectations or no expectations and ended up really enjoying them a lot more than I thought. To kick things off, there's one honourable mention actually, which is Part of Your World by Addie Jimenez. I've still got an hour of the audiobook left, so I can't officially put it on this list because I haven't finished it and things may go horribly wrong in the last hour, but I was having a bit of a rubbishy day a couple of days ago and decided to just try something light and fluffy. And for a romance, I'm really enjoying it. We follow a girl called Alexis who is a doctor in she's a high up doctor in some fancy hospital, and a boy called Daniel who is the mayor of this small town, and he can build stuff. He's a carpenter, he runs a little B&B. They meet and hit it off, and they're trying to figure out how they fit into each other's lives if they can. And it was, well, I haven't finished, but it's been really good so far. There's not too much smut, there's a little bit, but it's not the worst. The fact that I'm listening to it as an audiobook makes it seem a little bit more cringy than I think it would reading it with my eyeballs, but it's fine. The banter's cute, the chemistry's good. I like the small town vibes, giving like Gilmore Girls kind of, sort of if Taylor Dosey was hot and not annoying. Like that is sort of what I'm thinking Daniel is. He specified something about running town meetings and it just, Taylor Dosey was all I could think of. It's really nice. I think I would recommend it. It'd probably be on this list unless, like I say, the last hour is terrible, but who knows. Okay, now onto the actual list. Firstly, we have Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. This is a historical fiction sci-fi hybrid kind of thing. We follow Dana, who is a black woman living in modern day with a white husband, boyfriend, partner, whatever, and she suddenly gets dragged back through time to, I don't know when, the olden days where slavery was still very much a thing. And she gets dragged back and there's this young boy drowning in a river and she saves him, and then she goes back to her own time and she keeps getting dragged back in time for reasons, and we follow her experiences trying to live in this time which is not safe for her, and it's just really interesting. I don't love sci-fi or historical fiction, but the combination of the two just really worked for me somehow. The writing was great, the characters were great. It was frustrating to read, but in the best way. I would definitely recommend it. I want to read more from the author. I don't know if she wrote more stuff like this, but I am interested. Next we have Rolling in the Deep by Mira. This is a novella which is a prequel to Into the Drowning Deep, also by Mira, who is Shauna Maguire, in case you don't know. And in this one we follow a group of mockumentary makers that make fake documentaries for some stupid channel, and they're going out to try and prove that mermaids exist, and stuff happens and maybe mermaids are real, maybe they're not, and it was just really good. I don't know why I didn't expect to like this. I only picked it up because I really enjoyed a different book that had mermaids as a theme and wanted to investigate whether that was going to be a consistent thing that I enjoyed, and clearly, apparently it is. But yeah, just follow the crew out there living their lives or whatever. Just a really short book, and I definitely want to read the sequel, which I won't necessarily say what the sequel's about because it's kind of a spoiler, maybe, I guess. I think you can read either as a standalone, doesn't really matter. But yeah, it was great. It was a little bit brutal sometimes, so know what you're getting yourself into, but strongly recommend. Then we have All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This is the first Murderbot novel in which we follow the titular Murderbot. Murderbot's supposed to be this killing machine, basically, but he hacked a module in his head to make him able to override instructions given to him by whoever's in charge. Like, he will go along with the instructions generally anyway, so nobody knows that he's hacked his chip, but he just wants to be left alone. He just wants to watch trashy TV, and he ends up in situations where he has to save these idiot people from the situations they get themselves into, and Murderbot's great, fun to read from their perspective. I enjoyed the other books too, but that was less surprising. This was surprising because it's like full-on sci-fi where it's in space and on different planets, and that is not the sci-fi that appeals to me, but it was really good. It was really fun. It's another novella, so yeah, give it a shot if you haven't already. Then we have a fantasy, which I like, a fairly chunky one, not huge, but it is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. And in this we follow Addie LaRue, who makes some kind of deal with the devil or spirit or demon or something, that she gets to live forever, but nobody will ever remember her. So anytime she leaves a room, anyone who she was with forgets that she ever existed, and or if they fall asleep, they'll forget she existed. So if she has a one-night stand and they wake up the next morning, they'll be like, whoa, who are you? Why are you in my house? What's going on? And it was really interesting, really sad, and yeah, like, it was relatively grounded in reality, apart from obviously the immortality and the demon devil guy. And I didn't love, there was a twist it took which I didn't love, which is what kept it off one of my favourites list. But if you're one of the few people that hasn't read this book, I would say you should give it a go. I had a much better time with it than I expected. So yeah, Addie LaRue. Okay, then we have The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. This one is on this list as most surprising because I started it at some point over the summer and DNF'd it very quickly because it just I wasn't connecting with it. I wasn't finding it interesting. I gave up on it pretty quickly. I don't know why, but I gave it another shot a couple of months ago and was addicted. I couldn't get enough of it. I was so invested. So yeah, I must have just been in the wrong headspace when I started it. We follow Shay, who, when she was in college, one of her closest friends ended their life, and now it's many years later, and another one of her little group of friends has also ended their life in a very similar way, and she hears this podcast, and in it, a true crime podcast, and in it, the host is sort of investigating this most recent situation because he doesn't think it was self-inflicted. He thinks it was murder. So Shay gets in touch with this podcast guy who is a childhood friend of hers, and they dig into this whole world of stuff that's going on. And yeah, it was really interesting. Yeah, Don't have much to say really, but the fact that I DNF'd it and then still ended up giving it, I think I gave it 4 stars when I finally read it. It just surprised me. So here it is on this list. Then we have I Am Watching You by Teresa Driscoll. In this, we follow a woman called Ella who is on a train and she sees 2 guys flirting with this young girl, or a pair of young girls. Yeah, these 2 guys flirting with 2 teenage girls. And then the next day, one of the teenage girls has gone missing. And she, at the time on the train, she'd considered sort of reporting them. She tried to intervene a little bit, and now she regrets not having done more, so she's trying to investigate what happened. The reason this is on the list is because I found it in a charity shop for like 20p. It was like a self-published looking book, and I'd never heard of the author. It just sounded like a generic thriller, which it kind of was, but it was very addicting. I always wanted to know what was going to happen next, and yeah, it wasn't a favourite of the year, but it was really, really good. So yeah, for 20p, absolutely spectacular, really. Next on the list is Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, and similar to Kindred, this is a mixture of romance and fantasy, both of which not big genres for me, but clearly hybrids really are my thing. In this, we followed Dora, who as a child had half of her half of her soul stolen by an evil fairy, maybe. And so she has sort of she's so socially inept. She doesn't understand social cues. She takes things very literally. She gets herself into a mess sometimes. She's super close to her cousin, but nobody else really understands her. And it's set in like Regency, I don't know if it is England, but the Regency period, and her cousin are out trying to find themselves a husband. And it's just, yeah, she meets someone and they have some good banter, and it's cute, it's interesting. There's obviously a bit of magic to it, and I had a good time with it. It is a series, and I don't think I'll bother continuing because I got what I needed to from this one book. But yeah, again, it's another thing that I just listened to because I had the audiobook for free, so it was worth a shot, and I found it way more compelling than I thought I would. Apparently my heart isn't entirely like black and shriveled up, which is good to know, I guess. Next is The Wolf Den by Elodie Harper. In this one we follow Mira, who has been sold into slavery in Pompeii, and she works in a brothel, and she wants to not be forced to have sex with loads of random men. So she tries to make herself indispensable to the whatever the leader of her brothel is called. And yeah, there's kind of like a found family vibe going on with her and the other she-wolves, they're called. It's called the brothel is called the Wolf Den, I believe. And yeah, the relationships between all the girls is really interesting and mostly lovely. Like how they formed all these friendships despite or because of the situation that they're in. And there's a little bit of romance in there, which it's fine. I liked it. It was cute. I clearly need to try more historical books because that's like 3 on this list that are set in the past. So maybe if you have any entry-level historical fiction recommendations that are not set during World War II, that is like that's a hard limit for me. It would just, no, it doesn't even get a chance, not yet anyway. But yeah, that was The Wolf Den. It was great. It was. This is the series that I am going to continue in eventually, because I want to know more about these characters and their world. And it was a little bit dark, but not too dark. There is, I mean, you should check up trigger warnings. You probably would know what to expect mostly, but look it up if you need to. Next is another fantasy romance. What? Who am I? Which is Swordheart by T. Kingfisher. This one got a chance because I'd read another T. Kingfisher and I enjoyed it, and purely because the premise of this one sounded fun. So we have, who do we have? So we follow Hala, who has inherited her great uncle's estate, and the rest of the family are not happy about this because she wasn't his next of kin or anything. They think they should have inherited it. So they lock her up in the room and tell her she has to marry like her cousin so that that side of the family ends up with all the money. And she's not into this. She thinks, I would literally rather die than marry this slimy, sweaty-handed buffoon. And she unsheathes a sword that is in the room she's locked in, tries to do herself in through the chest. She's also undressed herself at this point, and out of the sword comes basically a genie. And he's like, whoa, you're my master, I need to save you. And he's like indebted to her, and together they escape and try to find a way for her to not have to marry this gross cousin guy. And they have really great banter, and they're lovely. Again, there's not too much smut. There's a little bit, but not for ages. It's quite a slow burn, and it was really fun and really cute, and I enjoyed the world. So I might actually read, is it like the Paladin's Grace and those ones that are all set in the same world? Might give those a go. Don't sound like they're necessarily for me, but I'm enjoying T. Kingfisher a little bit. Finally, we have Rules for Vanishing by Kate Alice Marshall. This is a YA book, I think, which is why that was surprising, because I don't really read YA. It's kind of horror-ish, light fantasy, maybe. There's this game where if you hold hands with your friends and take however many steps into this creepy forest, you will meet the ghost of Lucy Gallows, who is this girl who she went missing years and years ago. And some kids play this game and stuff happens. Yeah, they play this game and then a road appears and they have to follow the road, and they have to stay on the road no matter what they hear, what they see, what the road goes through. And if they don't, bad things will happen, basically. So we follow these kids trying to follow the rules, trying to make it to the end of the road, hoping that they'll find the main girl's missing sister. She supposedly played this game a couple of years back and went missing, never came home. So yeah, it was really interesting. It was like a bit novel. I liked it a lot. Short but sweet. That is my verdict on this one. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to tell me what your most surprising book of the year was, please let me know. If you read any of these books that I enjoyed, let's chat about that too. That'll be it for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!